Hi everyone, Franco from Your Guitar Academy. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to play the mighty Seven Nation Army by Jack White. So pick up your guitar, let's get started. Right, so we're going to look at three different parts. We've got the main riff, the transition, and the chorus. The main riff goes like this. And it's just a repetition of that. So first of all, when it comes to that song that I've taught, I guess, a million times, the important thing is I don't want to show you all the rhythm bits of the song. I think by far the best thing to do when it comes to learning that song is to just sing the melody and trying to play the right note when you know it's that note to be played. If you've ever been in a stadium before, if you've watched football or whatever, you know that rhythm, you know the melody. Now, I'm going to show you the notes, of course. The first note we start with is on fret number 7 on the A string. I'm playing it with my index finger. I'm going to play that note twice. The next one is fret number 10 on the same string. We're just going to play on one string. Then back to 7, then index finger on 5, then on 3, and then on 2 to finish with. So the melody goes. If you're a beginner, I suggest you use your pinky to fret number 10 over there, and not your index finger. Because if you do that, you're going to have to transition way more than I do. So be lazy. And not. It's not the end of the world if you do that, but yeah, just try and develop good habits. I'm not even sure Jack White plays it with the pinky. He could well be playing it with the index finger moving, but he's Jack White. He can do whatever he wants. Just so you know, that melody is played with a pedal that makes it an octave lower, but we're playing the right note. So again, one more time, 7, 7, 10. I almost played it with my index finger there. Back to 7, 5, 3, 2. And just so you know, I'm just going to tell you the name of the notes we're playing. We're starting with E, G, E, D, C, and B. I'm mentioning that because we'll play chords in a minute and it's going to be useful. Now, after we've played that riff quite a few times, we've got that transition that goes. Now, to play that transition, we need one shape, and it's a power chord. So to play the first chord, which is a G5, a G power chord, I'm going to have my index finger on fret number 3, which is the note G, on the low E string. And then there's a few options to play power chords. The most common one is to have your ring finger on the A string, fret number 5, and the pinky on fret number 5 on the D string. You've seen me do it with my pinky flat. It's just my way of doing it. If you want to do it that way, it's perfectly fine. You could also just play two strings, the top two strings of the shape, so the E string and the A string. That's still the right chord. So if you're struggling with power chords, if they're very new to you, you can do that. It's perfectly fine. And we're going to stay on that chord for a whole bar, which is 4 beats. But the right hand is going to strum it 8 times because we're playing 8th notes. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and as down, 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 down. So that chord with the pattern would go. And if I count along, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then the next chord we need is exactly the same shape, just moved up 2 frets higher, tone higher. So it's an A5 now, an A power chord. It's exactly the same shape as the G we've played. I'm just going to walk you through it just in case. Index finger is now on fret number 5 on the low E string, ring finger on fret 7 on the A string, and the pinky is on fret 7 on the D string. And it's exactly the same string pattern as the G we just played. So if I put the two chords together, it would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or if I do it with the right fingers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When it comes to power chords, you just want to strum the strings you're pressing onto. So make sure you're not playing any open strings. And if you're strumming hard and your pick is touching these strings, so the strings we're not supposed to hear, make sure you're muting them. And to do that, have your index finger flat on the strings, but not pressing. If you press on the strings, you'll have a minor chord. We don't want that. So you want the finger to be just resting on them, so it sounds like. There we go. We're just muting them because we don't need them. So we've got the main riff, we've got the little transition to the chorus. Let's move on to the chorus. The chorus goes like this. So we've got two different parts. The first part is, first of all, it's only power chords. But the first part is following the same melody we've learned at the very beginning of the lesson. So it's still exactly the same thing. But now, for each one of these notes we've played, we're going to play a power chord instead. So the first note, for example, was E. We're going to play an E5. The second note was G on fret number 10. We're going to play a G5. And then we had a D5, a C5, and a B5. The first chord, so it's E5, and I've got my index finger on 7 on the A string, which is the note we started the song with. Pinky and ring finger on fret 7 on the D and G strings. Same thing, I'm muting all the other strings. And the E string, which can be a challenge to mute, I'm using either my index finger slightly touching it, or you might see me do, because I do it with my pinky, you might see me do that. And when I do that, these two fingers, they're covering that low string, muting them. But we don't want to hear it. Now, we're lucky, the song is in E minor. So if we play that string, it's not the end of the world. So if you're just getting started, if it's still a very new instrument to you, don't worry, get the shapes. Eventually, you'll learn how to mute these strings. Okay, so that's the first chord. The next one is G5, so we're going to move that shape up to the note G, which is where the pinky used to be, but now it's the index finger on fret number 10. And it's exactly the same shape as the one we've just played. So index finger on fret number 10, and ring finger and pinky on fret number 12, and 12 of the D and G strings. So far we've got... And the rhythm is exactly the same as the intro we've played. So we play E twice and then move to G. Then we're going back to E. Then we move down that way to D. And so D5. So now my index fingers on fret number 5, ring finger and pinky on fret 7 on the D and G strings. To C. Again, exactly the same shape, but now my index fingers on fret number 3 on the A string, which is the note C. And ring finger and pinky on frets number 5 and 5 on the D and G strings. And then we finish with B5, which is the same shape again, but this time my index fingers on fret number 2 on the A string, ring finger and pinky on fret number 4 of the D and G strings. So let's put everything together. That's the first half of the chorus. Excuse me. And the second half goes. Pretty fun to play. So here we start from E again. The beginning is exactly the same. We play it twice. To G, back to E, back to D, back to C. But instead of going to B, which is usually the next chord, we're going to go back to D, back to C, and now on to B. So we've got E, E, G, E, D, C, D, C, B. So I'll play the whole chorus again. Let's add some distortion just to have more fun with it. And the second half. So you're going to play that a few times in the song, and after that, what we do is we go back to the same transition we had into the chorus. So that was G5 to A5. And if you want to mark the break of the song, which is where the melody starts, but you are not going to be able to do that and play the melody, but let's say you're playing with a friend, what I would do is I would go to an E5, but up there. And that could also be a good way to finish the song. So to do that, what I do to play that E5, I play the open E string. The A string is fretted on fret number 2 with my index finger. And then I play the D string on fret number 2 with my index finger again. So my index finger is barring. And same thing, I'm not playing any of the other strings. They're all muted, or I'm just not strumming them. So let's put everything together. I'm going to play one quick chorus and that transition and finish on E. And you'll see that it's a great way to finish the song with the overdrive, of course. G to A and E5 to finish with. Right, I absolutely love that song. If you're just getting started, I think it was one of the first songs I've ever learned on the guitar. It's the perfect song to get started. Take your time with it and make sure if power chords are new that you're taking it easy. It's a big step. So if you just want to learn the main melody, just go for the main melody. It's fine. And then you'll get back to the video the day you learn power chords. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.